Welcome back to Senior Savvy Cannabis. I'm Katherine Goldberg. Today, we're joined with vet Dr. Tim Shu, and we have an urgent call for you. If you guys listened to my last episode, we talked about the crisis that is happening right now in California regarding pet cannabis products. I wanted to go to the expert. So, Dr. Shu, can you tell us what is happening and why exactly is it so urgent?
Yeah, sure. So a few years ago in California, we were able to get a bill passed, AB 1885. And this bill had two pieces that were very important. The first one was that it allows for California veterinarians to actually recommend cannabis products to their clients. And it was the first of its kind in the country, which was a remarkable step. The second part of the bill was that it required the DCC to come up with regulations specifically surrounding pet cannabis products. And the issue that we're seeing right now is the proposed regulations that the DCC, the California cannabis regulators, have come up with, is that they are proposing that pet-specific cannabis products be limited to no more than 1 milligram of THC per package.
I This might be a silly question, but why are do the DCC, do they have vets on their staff? Why does the DCC think they know what's best for animals?
So no, they don't have any veterinarians on their staff, which is important, which is why it's important for us to speak up, because I have worked with and spoken to veterinarians all around the world. I've been in this space for the past over 10 years now. We've worked with veterinarians that treat dogs and cats, that treat horses, and then also that treat exotic zoo species. We work with a couple zoos that actually use cannabis and CBD products on a number of zoo species, including lions and bears and tigers. Even a poison dart frog. They've used it on snakes, all kinds of animals. And so, what I'm drawing from is my past decade of experience dealing with cannabis and its use in animals. And the consensus is that it's not just CBD that's useful, but THC actually in the right amounts is actually incredibly beneficial because it does have a number of medicinal properties. And we know that THC, when combined with CBD, actually works better. So a lot of people know of this as the entourage effect, but there are actually studies, and we have seen that using THC with CBD actually does give you a greater therapeutic benefit.
Two questions. One is, what if the DCC gets their way and this 1 milligram thing is passed? What consequences will we see?
Well, what happens is that manufacturers are not going to want to make pet cannabis products because when you limit the products to 1 milligram of THC per package, you have to make it with CBD isolate. Even broad spectrum CBD will have trace amounts of THC. And when you're using it in a high enough concentration, it will go over that 1 milligram THC per package limit. So what this means is that manufacturers will have to use CBD isolate to create these pet cannabis products for sale in California dispensaries. Now, the problem with that is that we know that dispensary products are already more expensive. On top of that, customers will pay anywhere from 30 to 40% in taxes for dispensary products. And so you're talking about paying a very high amount for essentially what you could get off of the hemp market. A lot of hemp products are made with CBD isolate, and they are very inexpensive compared to dispensary products. And so basically, you are getting CBD isolate products, and the consumer has no incentive to purchase them at a dispensary and pay that excess markup and excess tax compared to purchasing it online or from any other retailer that sells hemp products.
I'm thinking about the dogs that are taking these products to maintain their seizures, or the dogs that are taking it because they have arthritis. I feel like a lot of pet parents are very anxious that we feel like our children's medicine is about to be taken away. Is that it? Are we right to feel anxious, or are we overreacting?
Yeah, because actually a lot of people do utilize cannabis products with THC for their pets currently. We know that it works better, especially for pain and inflammation. So a lot of these pet owners that are using it to help manage their pet's arthritis, it is very effective for them. Seizure control is another interesting one because actually low doses of THC do have anti-seizure properties, but the big one is cancer. There are quite literally pets in California that are being kept alive through cannabis. And we're talking about not just CBD, but also THC. And the real danger here is that if these products are not available to these pet owners, they are going to continue using cannabis, but these are going to be cannabis products that may not be formulated for pets. And they may have ingredients that could be toxic to pets, or they may have improper dosage. And the owners may not know how to use these products properly. Because I've spoken with a number of pet owners over the years that have heard about the benefits of cannabis, especially when it comes to cancer. And when they walked into a dispensary, they simply asked, what can they use for cancer for their pets? And the bud tenders, not knowing any better, just simply relied on their information for humans and would point them to high THC concentrates like RSO.
Mm.
And this can be very dangerous because with something that is a high THC concentration, like a concentrate like RSO, they can easily give way too much and end up in trouble.
It makes complete sense. I don't know how much of the cannabis market is devoted to vet products. I'm sure it's a small amount, but it seems like it's going to be an emerging trend across the country. I so we only have 2 or 3 days left. On Monday, the DCC is going to close their comment section. So I have suggested on this podcast that my audience write into the DCC. However, instead of just saying DCC, you suck, I feel like you have a more productive thing to say. Can you explain your solution that is going to make pet owners happy and vets happy? And hopefully the DCC will understand because it's coming from you, a vet.
Yeah, so my solution is rather than impose an arbitrary THC cap, you can just keep the current THC cap out there for the human products. And what I propose instead is to cap the ratio of CBD to THC. For example, a ratio of no more than for every 10 parts of CBD, 1 part THC. So capping the ratio at 10 to 1 CBD to THC. And what this does is it provides effective dosing, it provides effective formulation, but it does it in a safe manner so that we don't deal with the risks of intoxication. Because when you're dealing with an arbitrary THC cap, well, it's arbitrary. So where do you put it? 1 milligram, 5 milligram, 10, 100. Whereas with a CBD to THC ratio, if you cap it at something like 10 to 1, then you can actually get the benefits of THC formulated in a way that can be beneficial without the risks of intoxication.
Okay, this is the solution we need. So we want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to voice their opinion and become involved to play a role in this. So I read the letter that you wrote to the DCC. It is very well documented. It includes lots of different facts. It's very specific. What I'm going to do is put it in the description to this video so our audience can just copy and paste it, and we'll put the email address of the DCC. So we're just asking that if you agree with this idea of a ratio cap at 10 to 1, then send in an email to the DCC, just copy and paste it. And it seems like they just don't know. I don't think the DCC they're out to kill the dogs with cancer. Like, I don't think they're like laughing about this. I think they just have no idea. Do you think that's accurate to say? Or do you think are there financial interests at play? Or is it really they just don't know? And that's how we got here?
Yeah, I think the reality is that because they don't employ any veterinarians or healthcare professionals on their staff, they're simply unfamiliar with the role, the use of medicinal cannabis when it comes to animals and animal well-being. It's a fairly new industry, even though I've been doing this for over 10 years. A lot of veterinarians are seeing for themselves the remarkable benefits of cannabis. And more of them are recommending cannabis for their clients, especially when it comes to things that are very difficult to treat, such as severe arthritis or cancer cases, severe epilepsy cases. And what they're finding is that in some cases, the traditional medications aren't able to do a satisfactory enough job for the pet owners, and that's where they found that medical cannabis can offer incredible benefits. The DCC may not be familiar with this because that's not their primary focus. But we've been out here educating veterinarians and pet owners, and we've seen more and more veterinarians recommend cannabis products to their clients with great success. And so this is something that simply it needs to be voiced. The DCC needs to hear the experiences of California pet owners and veterinarians. And so the more people that write into them with their experiences and their personal stories, the better understanding that they'll have of the situation.
Good. Okay. I like this. I want to keep these products on the shelves. I give them to my dog and I recommend them to all pet owners. It's just something you should have in your medicine cabinet because it helps for so many different conditions. So I will recommend that people write in the next 2 or 3 days. And do you think other states are looking at California as a model to see how they should implement their cannabis policy? Do you think it's getting any sort of attention, or is it just people in the industry know about this?
It's a little bit of both because California does have a lot of firsts in terms of cannabis and how it's also regulated. So there will be other states, there will be other countries that are watching because we have to understand that cannabis is not just limited to the United States. Like I said, for a long time, I've talked to veterinarians around the world. And they recognize the value of cannabis in animals. And so we collaborate and we share our experiences. And in years past, I have lectured on the rules and regulations in California and the United States in general to other countries. So they are paying attention and they are watching.
Good. As long as the pets are happy, I'm happy. Thank you for, just coming on last minute to talk to us about this. I'm thrilled that I have such an engaged platform of people who really care and who want to shape this story and the narrative. So I have a feeling a lot of them are going to send in emails. They might even, what if we even crash their website? That would be a dream. Joking. But thank you so much for being with us. Is there anything else that you want to add before we sign off? I know that we're going to be posting this Wednesday night, comments end Monday. This is if you're gonna participate, now's your chance.
Yeah, so we have a short period. They close the public comment periods on Monday, June 23rd. So as soon as you guys hear this, if you can send off a letter to the DCC, that would be greatly appreciated. So let's do right by these animals.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We'll have you back
Thank
on soon. Okay. Bye.